Hello everyone, I'm Extra Cheesy 87 and this is Let's Play Danganronpa Part 29. In the previous video, we continued the Clash Trial, and we're getting there. We still haven't yet got the gang to suspect Celeste. We're trying to get them on board with our train, but we're just there. It's not quite there yet, even though she's acting so suspiciously. So suspiciously. I was like 85% confident going into the case. Like going into the trial, and then like after the first session, I was like, okay, 100%. This girl is so omega tier sus.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Like, I feel like Celeste is easily the most suspicious character we've had going into the murder. And the first murder literally had Leon's name written in fucking blood on the wall, you know? Granted, that was, you know, the only reason I didn't suspect that was because I was like, that seems like a little too on the nose, but it was the very first case, so I can understand them making it a little bit more straightforward. Now, the second case definitely threw me, not for a loop. Like, I wouldn't say I was never, like, I was just so hard on the Tagami train that I didn't really expect them to actually pull a double switch like that, where, you know, initially you're supposed to think it's Toko, and then you think it's Tagami, but then it was actually Mondo. And I feel like this case has been a lot more straightforward than the last one.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme.
I think Kyoko's gonna bring up the fact that Hifumi wanted Taka dead.
There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
Actually, now that I think about it, being an accomplice is dumb as shit. Like, I don't know why this just now occurred to me. Okay, so let's say, like, in an ideal scenario, let's say Hifumi didn't get killed, right? Because we can kind of assume that he was probably betrayed by Celeste, or the murderer, who is Celeste, most likely, like 99.9% positive it's Celeste. Like, so let's say, you know, he helps her, and she actually manages to get away with it. They're successful in framing Hiro. When we pick Hiro, Hifumi dies. Like, Celeste gets to go free, but the accomplice has to die, right? That's the punishment. So, the idea, like, being an accomplice is actually you'd have to be a monumental idiot, which, granted, I guess it is Hifumi, so that makes a little... Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that for some reason, that being an accomplice is just, you're stupid, because you're destined to die. Like, either you're outed afterwards, like if your person you're working with, if they get executed, if they get found out, then you're going to be revealed as the accomplice, which then will pretty much, like, I mean, people are going to probably want to kill you then. But if they're successful in the deception, then when they get out, you guys get executed.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka.
I guess. I never really thought about that.
They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents.
Okay, that actually explains it a little... Well, I mean... Okay, that explains it a little bit more. So if Hifumi's the one who did the killing, so he would have been the original Blackened. And the assumption would be that Celeste is going to help him, but then Celeste probably already planned on killing Hifumi, so then she wouldn't run into that situation where if Hifumi got off with it, that she would be executed because they picked the wrong person.
And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense, actually, with Celeste being the accomplice in this scenario. Or at least Hifumi thinking that she's his accomplice.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
I mean, Hifumi, kind of easier to manipulate than most people, and he has beef with Taka. That's the main characteristic this time. Kyoko must have noticed that fact from the very beginning. That's why she said not to look at this as a series of connected events, but entirely separate incidents. Kyoko really is amazing, although, when you think about it, she's almost too amazing. Like, it's almost unnatural how good she is at this. Well, she's probably the ultimate detective.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
True killer manipulated Hifumi to carry out a number of actions and in the end murdered him. In the debates up till now, the way the case has unfolded, when you consider all that... Oh, do we finally get to just pick it? Okay, it was obviously Makoto. I mean, moment of fucking truth right now.
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
Let's go!
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
I mean, yes. Like, it's not even close.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
Oh, she's getting a little worried.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him.
Oh, she's going for the righteous indignation route. Okay, I respect the hustle.
That I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Uh-huh.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
Yeah, that behavior, let me guess. He's gonna be like, tell him, Makoto! Oh, no. Encountering the suspicious individual? Yeah, definitely that.
I got it!
She's the only one that ever saw
The
him.
they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
What?
Sorry.
Can we kill Togami? Do you think we could, like, somehow get away with it? Well, I don't actually, do you think Makoto could manage it? I feel like Togami would kick our ass.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
Yeah, because they're murderers.
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
She saw a shadow.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen.
Yeah, I said this a long time ago, Togami. Come on, catch up with me. My intellectual powerhouse, it's too much.
Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Celeste, what's wrong? That was a rather intense scream for someone like you. The strange costume man, he ran off as soon as I screamed. Yeah, of course he did.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
Yeah, because I guess the scream is also a signal to Hifumi. That's probably why she was extra loud, so that he would hear her back on the first floor. He's in the nurse's office. This is bad.
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I do remember him saying something about leading the hunting party and...
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just said that.
It was your way of telling him, we're on the 3rd floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
It was very out of character. And they made mention of it being out of character, so...
I just realized another strange thing.
I mean, anytime a story makes specific mention of something, you can reasonably assume it's important and it's something you should remember.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead.
I was certainly not expecting this. I'd imagine that Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
Yeah, that's a small detail, but in the overall pictures, it adds to the case.
I don't believe it. Everything. The whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Come
Don't
on.
bother trying
Break
to
the
deny it.
facade.
You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but
Oh no.
looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
Oh no. Is he gonna be like, Makoto, what was that slip up? I don't know, dude.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around frightened and confused. We're all going to die here. We're all gonna die, just like those guys. Those guys. Oh. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that either.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
So I guess
Then pay
she...
attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto.
Yeah, so she already knew they were dead.
Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the 4 of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead.
Yeah, because I think even if I'd had paid attention to that, I would have probably just assumed she meant everyone who had died previously.
Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although
Yeah.
I don't really get what it means.
I mean, that's a neat little detail that I didn't even pick up on.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said?
And it's one of those good little neat details where even if you were to pick up on it, you could easily just kind of dismiss it as like, oh, she's just talking about everyone else who has died previously, right? Instead of it being specifically about Taka and Hifumi.
If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Yakia said Celeste's comment doesn't make any sense, but what is he alluding to? Oh no. Oh no. E-handbook, Monokuma file, Celeste's account. Okay, so what does the e-handbook say? I feel like, I remember Kyoko did mention that that's apparently important. No handbooks were involved in carrying out the murders. And what's our other thing? The file and Celeste's account. For the file, just they were killed with the same thing, and Celeste's account, they weren't gone for more than a minute or two.
They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused.
Us.
They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here.
Us, all?
We are
All
going
us?
to die, just like those guys died.
Those guys.
And that is all I said.
Those guys.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
So strange. I mean, those guys, so strange?
All I said
Didn't they already
was,
say
they
this,
must
though?
really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die here.
I feel like we're just reiterating
We
something
are
that's
going
already
to
been
die,
kind of established.
Just like those guys died. And that is all I
Don't
said.
scan. I want to
And
blast.
that's all it takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
No, okay. Don't tell me is it so strange those guys?
Shoot!
All I said.
Because none of these
was,
make any sense. I don't
They
think.
must really be enjoying this.
Unless it's Monokuma
Enjoying
Fo.
the sight of us standing around, frightened, and they must be. We are all
I'm gonna
going
actually
to
be
die
mad
here.
if it's
We are
those
going to
guys.
die,
If it's
just
this.
like those guys
No,
died.
that's the wrong thing. Don't do that.
And
Blast
that is
that.
all I said.
If it's so strange
And
those
that's
guys
all it
instead
takes
of
to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
yeah. I mean, like I know what's
Said
strange
was,
about
they
it,
must
but
really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like.
like that's what pisses me off. Like those should work in the same direction, I think.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died.
Like that should really be a two-way street in my mind. Because I don't know. I mean, it's not a big deal because it's not like failing the trial does anything. I mean, they let you restart instantly with max heart points or whatever. So it's not like it's a very minor criticism at the end of the day, but it does cause some annoyance.
When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw.
Are you gonna bring up the stupid picture again?
Then what about the picture I took?
I mean, probably staged. We can assume. We don't have any
How do you
direct
explain
evidence,
this picture
though.
of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
Like, is there anything that's like a timestamp? Like, it's not like there's a clock or anything. I mean, that would be too obvious.
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on, and then.
Ugh, don't say
use
that.
the camera's timer to
Because didn't they mention the
set up
picture?
the picture.
The camera doesn't have a timer because it's so cheap.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know
Yeah.
that this particular camera does not have a timer.
They did mention that.
In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
I mean, it could still be a setup.
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
See, that's why you gotta take a video, lady.
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
I mean, she's confident. It wasn't a picture of a suspect dragging Hifumi away. The only other possibility, they've been drinking, Hifumi is dragging... What? None of these are really what I'm thinking of. This is the one that makes the most sense.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
I mean, no, it makes more sense that it's just a staged picture.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi. but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around.
But I guess maybe if she wanted to...
the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther.
Like, I guess if she didn't want Hifumi to know she was taking that picture, because I've been under the assumption that it was Celeste, like, ordered Hifumi to take that picture, but she could have just taken it secretly while he was busy doing that for some reason.
If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
I think it's more ridiculous than it just being a staged photo to frame Hiro.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
That's a pretty good line. Celeste thinks she can prove there's no way Hifumi was dragging the suspect away. Is that really possible? Oh god, more spinny time. I want off Mr. Monokuma's wild ride. Costume, handbook, hammer, message, blueprints. Shit, dude. That's too many
You
things.
dressed me up in that suit after I passed out!
Okay.
Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight!
Carry my
You
weight.
tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Oh, stand up straight because it can't bend, right?
Idiot is the culprit after.
I think it's probably because it can't bend. I'm going to say stand up straight costume.
No way!
Now, I'm not 1,000. I'm not super confident, but I'm like
Dressed me up in that
70%
suit,
confident.
Then you just draped me across Hifumi. You tried to make me look like...
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up.
Okay. Oh,
No,
finally one that
it's
makes sense. I mean, the others have made sense. It's just been a little...
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
They're getting a lot of work out of that artwork.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
That's an interesting noise.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
That's the noise I make whenever I mess up one of the debate sequences.
Checkmate?
She's gonna flip out. Oh no, she's still... Oh, she's on the verge of cracking.
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Oh.
Celeste? Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Yeah, I mean that's a good final gambit, but I don't know if it's enough. Hey Hifumi, who was it? Who attacked you? Who tried to kill you? Who killed me? That's right, I remember. Their name. Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not?
I do like how, like, when she tries to go back to her normal voice, or her, like, fake voice, it's like, you can tell that it's not natural.
He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
But he could have been saying, is innocent.
Wait! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually... Taro!
Checkmate.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us.
I do like how flipping out and saying you're gonna burn everyone alive, that's probably not the best way to convince us of your innocence.
How did he refer to each of us?
Did he give everyone nicknames? Did he? Yeah, he always called him Mr. Naegi, right?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Yeah, he would always say Mr. Naegi. I don't really remember him doing it for anyone else, but...
Exactly. I know I
Yeah.
heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
What was he saying then?
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name. Indecent?
Don't talk.
That's one of the few times you'll see me completely agree with Tagami.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation?
Maybe he was just like me and doesn't know how to say some of the characters' first names, so you just call them their last name.
No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
What is Celeste's last name? Oh, you know, like Ludenberg or something? What is it? Where? Oh yeah, it's just Celeste. Yeah, Celestia Ludenberg. I mean, that doesn't really have anything to do with...
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She
Yeah?
never actually told us what her real name is.
I mean, technically, you just assume that's not her real name.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
He's got a point, I guess.
Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Fine. Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up. My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
I mean, it does seem a little weird to just doubt her when she says that. I mean, yeah, it's not a traditional name, but plenty of people don't have I mean, you know. She won't give up, so then I have to do something to make her accept it. Okay. E-handbook. Oh, the e-handbook! It'll probably have her real name on it. Is that why that's important?
Hifumi was trying.
E-handbook is displayed each time the handbook is booted up. Okay. So that's the only piece of information that has not been used at all, I believe.
He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
Get blasted, nerd.
how many times?
Oh, we only have
do I
2
to
minutes, so
tell
maybe
you?
we do need to be blasting those things.
My name is Celestia Ludenberg. God damn it!
Oh, it's upside down. I haven't
How
seen a
long
way
do
to
you plan
use
to go on pretending.
e-handbook
I'm not
yet.
pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to
Ugh!
contradict me,
Get blasted! Get out of here!
No, that's wrong.
Be gone!
That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before.
This handbook is absolutely vital to a healthy school life, so don't lose it. When you start up, it'll display your name. Always make sure you have the right one. Now, this is not your everyday ordinary notebook. It has many more uses than that.
So all we have to do is check her handbook, And that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Unlock your phone screen or we'll beat you up in the interrogation room?
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened?
Well, no, I mean, granted, we don't actually have to prove her guilt in a court of law. We just need to make everyone on board with killing her.
Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because...
I think she's lost
Until
it.
the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Oh, as long as she got a chip in a chair. Isn't she the ultimate gambler?
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again.
Oh
from the
no.
beginning,
We gotta do
and
this
shed
thing
light on
again.
all your crimes.
I'm a little
And that'll
worried
bring
about this.
everything to an end.
Okay. We're going to... Oh god, can I like open the menu real quick? Thank you. We're gonna end the video real quick just because we probably can't reasonably finish the case in this video because we're gonna have to do this whole thing plus we're getting the trial. I don't know why I always call them the case. I always say case instead of trial. But we'll have to do all this and then probably the final like bullet time battle thing if they're gonna make us do that again. But yeah, otherwise the video will probably be like 50 minutes, so we'll stop things here. I'm Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next part, and bye, guys.